All right, fellas, let's move on back to the NFL and begin our NFL draft grades. Similarly to how we rolled the team previews, we'll revisit each division, team by team, and analyze how they did with letter grades. These are mostly based off of the draft and the team needs, but we'll also consider trades and picks used to trade for players. And we'll start today with the AFC East. So, Jay, the Dolphins are up first. How'd you like their 400 picks?
Uh, 400. They did a good job. The Dolphins get an A here. They got their franchise quarterback to. Well, we thought that was going to happen despite some smoke screens we were seeing late before the draft, and then just structurally, you look at the way they draft. 7 of their 11 picks were up front in the trenches. So I really like that. I'm a big believer in when you're in the rebuilding stage, build up those offensive and defensive lines because that's where it all starts. And then you got Austin Jackson, Robert Hunt, Solomon Kinley with Tua. He's comes with some injury concerns. So I like how they make it they made it a priority to beef up that offensive line, and they got a bunch of young guys in there who can grow with Tua. So I really like that. And then you look in the later rounds. In the 5th round, Jason Strowbridge and Curtis Weaver, they were guys that had pretty high grades. I don't think those guys were expected to drop into the 5th round. So they got some really good value there. So overall, I think they did a really good job. They get an A.
Yeah, I agree with the A evidently. And before I get into exactly what I gave, I just want to say I did look at all 7 rounds. I'm only going to hit on the first 3 rounds for the sake of time. I don't want to drag this out no longer than it has to be. So I gave my A+ for the draft. And listen, they drafted Tua. He's a home run to me. Besides his injury history, I don't really see the downfall of drafting him. And you get to sit him, and he will get healthy behind Fitzpatrick. So you're not even in a rush to play him. Then that second pick, Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC, they took him 18th overall. I like that they didn't go with best player available. They went with what they needed. Everybody know behind quarterback, offensive line is that second need. So I give them kudos for that. And Jackson had a mixture of first and second round grades. So even if you say, hey, it was a reach, I mean, it depends on who you talk to. It's in the eye of the beholder. So it was good pick in my eyes. And then that third pick, Noah Emigane, the cornerback out of Auburn, they used that 30th pick on him. At first, as the draft was going on, I'm thinking to myself, is these guys serious? What is this? As I actually sat back and thought about, where did Brian Flores come from? How did Brian Flores cut his teeth in this game? Who taught him a good amount of what he knows? Well, Bill Belichick. We know Bill Belichick liked to have multiple DBs on the field at one time, 3, possibly more than that. So once I actually got that thought across my head, I thought, actually, this don't look as bad as I initially thought. So, yeah, I gave the Dolphins an A+.
Yeah, I think it was easy to say they just won the day because they had of all their picks. But and obviously, I really liked that they stayed the course and took Tua. They didn't trade out. They didn't do anything stupid. They just, they took their player. They got their guy. They didn't mess around. And the other selections in Jackson and Ibn Gane were a little bit. A lot of people said they were reaches. I don't really consider them reaches either because I think that you had the luxury of taking a little more project guys because you have a little bit of time on your hands. The Dolphins aren't going to be a team that's going to compete next year. So if you think they're going to be all pros, even if they are a little out of your range, just take them because you got time to develop these guys. It's not that big of a deal. The day 2 picks I wasn't that sold on. Hunt and Jones I thought were both kind of reaches on most of the big boards. Raekwon Davis, he concerns me a little, but he can still develop into a factor for sure. And then I think day 3 really kind of brought it back up with Curtis Weaver in the 5th round. That was a big steal. And then even Malcolm Perry in the 7th. I watched Navy football. That dude's kind of good. So I thought they had a very solid day 1, and a day 2, and a very good day 3. And I gave him a B+ overall. So we'll go ahead and roll to the Jets next. Drink, what you got for them?
Oh, for the Jets, they had an excellent draft. I gave them an actual A++. I thought they had the second best draft behind the Broncos, which we'll get to later. Look, they draft Mekhi Becton, the offensive tackle out of Louisville with the 11th pick overall. Hey, he's a day 1 starter, and quite frankly, what I'm hearing, he got the best footwork of all the offensive tackles that's in the draft. Footwork is very important when you talk about those big guys on the outside. They got to move a lot of weight. They got to shift in different directions at a very rapid pace. And listen, evidently he's something serious when it comes to the run game, which I'm pretty sure Le'Veon Bell is very happy to hear about that this year. Now, that second pick, Denzel Mims, the wide receiver out of Baylor, the 59th pick overall. Hey, I thought he was going to go a little higher. Yeah, I think, the Jets got a good guy here. He's going to be a day one starter. He's a big physical down the field threat. Only problem is if you're bringing him in to replace Anderson, he's not a burner like Anderson, but he does win most of his 50-50 balls. So that Sam Darnold is a guy that throw a high number of 50-50 balls. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them capitalize off of that. Then the third pick, Ashton Davis, the safety out of California, the 68th pick. Hey, listen, this guy could have been a day one, should have been a day two guy, but end up being a day three guy. So he might not start or get big minutes when the season starts, but he'll definitely be in the rotation, and we'll see how it goes from now. So, yeah, as far as the Jets went, I gave my A++.
Yeah, I gave the Jets a B. I liked what they did, just wasn't overly impressed. I'm looking at Becton. Out of those 4 top tackles, he's the one I'm probably got a little bit of concern about. I think at that size, he could have some difficulty against smaller speed rushers, but we'll see. I mean, he's great at the combine, and he's gotten a lot of high praise from around the league. So, but the need was definitely there at the offensive line and at left tackle. So the Jets, we'll see how it goes. They could have their left tackle. We'll see. Denzel Mims, really like that pick in the second round. I don't think the Jets were in a position to be all that picky in type of receiver, whether it's speed or possession. That they just need guys that can catch the ball, and they can worry about how they fit when they got enough of them to put around Sam Darnold so you can throw him the football. And Ashton Davis, I thought that was a really good pick, especially when you consider Jamal Adams. Is he going to be there long term with some of the conversations we've heard, whether it be trade talks, whether it be him being unhappy. And then Jabari Zuniga, I thought defensive line, that was a position that they also could use a little help at. And he's a guy that could turn out to be a steal in that third round. I think LaMichael Pirine in the fourth round, I think he's a guy, I think you need a little bit more behind Le'Veon Bell. And we saw Le'Veon Bell didn't live up to it in the first year. So you do need a second back in there to help you out. And Bryce Hall in the fifth round, I think he could be in the steal of the draft. I was stunned he fell that far.
Yeah, I really like this Jets draft as well. They've had some real head scratchers recently, but this one really does feel different. Becton, the most upside of any prospect, at left tackle in the draft. And then Mims, like y'all said, was a great follow-up in round 2. I liked that they went to the left tackle first. They drafted the best available position that they kind of needed, and then they circled back to a deeper position where they could have still got some really good value. And luckily for them, Mims was waiting there in round 2, and that guy could be really good. Davis, yeah, again, out of Cal, he could be Jamal Adams' replacement. So that kind of gives them a little bit of an out with all these Jamal Adams trade talks. If they do want to make a move, they've got a lot, they can be a lot more confident in that move now. And I also highlight, James Morgan at FIU, the quarterback. I think he's one of the best project quarterbacks you had in this draft. And yeah, Bryce Hall on day 3 that was criminal. That was absolute robbery. He can flat out play football, and I was stunned again that he fell that far. I was a little more down the Zuniga pick just because it was the third round. I thought he was going to be a little later. There's some questions regarding his athleticism, and he's only won 13% against Power 5 tackles in his career, according to PFF, not according to me. So I would have liked him in like the 4th or 5th, but hey, third, you like the guy, you take him, all right, whatever. So yeah, overall, I could slap an A on this draft class, no problem. We're going to move back to the Bills, Jay. What'd you think of them?
Slightly above average for me. I gave him a C+. I was a little hard on him. I didn't take into account Stephon Diggs, the trade of that first round pick. I do think in the second and third round, I think with A.J. Epinesa and Zach Moss, those picks, they do fill needs. I talked about needing a little bit more in the pass rush. And I think Zach Moss could be an effective complement to what they have in Devin Singletary. They didn't address the cornerback position until the 7th round with Dane Jackson. I don't know how much you'll get from him. So all in all, I wasn't overly impressed. But when you do factor in the Stephon Diggs trade, I think they did do a good job.
Yeah. When it comes to the Bills, I gave them a B+. Listen, they got AJ Espinoza, the defensive end out of Iowa, with the 54th pick. And listen, he could have been a first-round pick, so getting him in the second round is a steal. And he's for sure going to bolster up that defensive line that's not a slouch from the start, so you can't really be mad at that. With their second pick, they took Zach Moss, the running back out of Utah, with the 86th pick. Listen, a great complementary power back piece to add in the backfield with Devin Singletary. I think now you have a very solid 1-2 punch in the backfield, and this should, over time, release some pressure off of Josh Allen, hopefully. And then with the third pick, they went with Gabriel Davis, the wide receiver out of UCF, with the 128th pick. You know, a good pick for where the Bills was able to pick a wide receiver in the 4th round. So, you know, they don't have a dire need for wide receiver because of the before mentioned Stephon Diggs deal in free agency. However, it's always good to have depth at any position. So if you got depth at the wide receiver position, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think if you factor in the use of that first-round pick, you know, to form one of the better wide receiver trios in football, then I think the Bills are really happy with this draft. You know, Epinesa was a guy we mocked to several teams in our pre-draft previews, and not only do I like the pick as far as like the value of him falling well into the second round, but he's going to really fit well in that new 4-3 front they've sort of moved to, and as a very good like interior rusher. You can kind of put him on the outside, or you can move him inside on more rushing down. So like he'll have a lot of flexibility on that front there. I also like the addition of Austin Davis, obviously to help out Josh Allen. I think he needs, you know, a little bit more help. And you got to think that Moss fell more than he should have also. I'm not a big Jake Fromm believer, but I can't see him being good backup insurance for Allen. And that system, you know, I could envision a world where Josh Allen like hurts a shoulder, he's out for 3 weeks, and Fromm comes in there and floats the boat, and they go 1-2 or 2-1. You know, like I could see that happening. So I do like that. I would say one issue that you did kind of have with this draft, it was kind of light on linemen on either side outside of Epinesa. So I always like to see at least a couple big guys, you know, and only got the one really. So, but overall, you know, when you throw in the trade, I give it a A-. So, Drink, we'll wrap up with the Patriots. What do you got for them?
So I ended up giving the Patriots a B. I wasn't overly blown away with what they did. I just expected a little more, I guess. So starting with Kyler Digger, the safety out of Lenoir Ryan, that's a Division II, you know, school for all you cats that don't know, with the 37th pick. You know, the special thing about this guy is he can also play linebacker as well as safety. So I think when you get a player like this, you can get to work him out in both positions. If he's good enough, you can play him in both positions. But we know that Patriots defense got a lot of holes that they need to fill. So he's a solid fit at one of the 2 positions of needs for this Patriots defense. So I like that. I like that versatility. Then with the second pick, they took Josh Uche, the linebacker out of UCLA, with the 60 overall pick. Hey, I think this guy should be a day one starter. I don't see why he wouldn't be. But, you know, he's going to need some fine-tuning, a bit of fine-tuning. But I don't, you know, if Bill Belichick is this master that everybody say he is, I don't see the problem. He should be able to get them up and ready to go from day one. We'll see. Coronavirus infect everything. And then with the third pick, Anthony Jennings, the outside linebacker out of Alabama, they took with the 87th pick. Listen, this guy, I personally know, being an Alabama fan, very good pass rusher. However, he's kind of in a tour situation. He have dealt with multiple injuries while at Alabama. So if he can stay healthy, he would definitely be a benefit. But we got to see how that body holds up to the impact on a professional level.
Yeah, I'm about the same as Drink on the Patriots. I gave him a B-. I thought their first 3 picks were really good, particularly with where they were positioned. They traded back out of the first round. Didn't like what they saw there. Kyle Duggar, not going to pretend. I've watched a lot of tape on him. But if we know when it comes to preparation and scouting, you know, Bill Belichick is going to know what the deal is on a guy before he takes him. So I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt there. And the versatility that you mentioned, whether it be linebacker or safety, the Patriots are pretty deep in that secondary. So I think it's definitely a possibility where we could see him playing some sub-package linebacker. And then Josh Uche, they need help in the pass rush. I don't think that's no secret. And Anthony Jennings, those 2 guys, Uche and Jennings, are going to be key moving forward. And I think they could play very early with how that front 7 it's a little weak with all the departures they've had the past couple of years. And I think Anthony Jennings along with Dante Hightower, that could be a lot of fun to watch. Uh, they didn't get a quarterback in this draft. I expected they would take one in the later rounds. They didn't, but we also said there was a possibility that they wouldn't address it in this round. I like what they did in their first 3 picks. After that, a little less sold though.
Yeah, this feels like a Patriots draft if there ever was one. I'd start with the good and say that I did like the trade as well, coming out of the first round, getting LA second and third round. That's actually a pretty good value. Look at the value charts and whatnot. And it was a good move considering the lack of premium picks. Uche is another, like y'all said, I like him a lot as well. And he's a really good match in that scheme, man. He's going to be right at home. As a guy he can come off the edge and rush, but he can also drop back and cover some. I also can't really knock that investment in the offensive line later on. Winu and Heron both seem to be real highly thought of among offensive line scouts. So I can see those guys fitting right at home in the Patriots sort of scheme there. But there's a lot you don't want to like too about this. And I guess on Kyle Duggar, my thing is this, like you invested your most premium pick in a position in which you're already really, really solid at. And then you're going to go, oh, well, I didn't get a quarterback or I didn't have this to do that. I don't know. Like, maybe if he's a guy you think just an absolute slam dunk home run, all right. But in the double dip at tight end in the third round of a fairly weak class, you took a 5th round kicker you probably could have picked up with a nice bonus as an undrafted free agent. And I get it. In 2 years, you guys are all going to be home. They're all going to be Pro Bowlers and we're going to be sitting there laughing. But at the end of the day, like, the draft is what it is, but at the end of the day, you're putting Jared Stidham out there week 1. So I hope Kyle Duggar and the rest of this crew are all that good because for me, it's a C until, they prove me wrong.